In this lesson, we'll finish up the skateboard by building some wheels and bolts. So let's go ahead and build some wheels for this skateboard. And so I'm going to go to one of the orthographic views here. And in this case, it'll be my front view, okay, because of the way that it's oriented. And so I'm going to go ahead and again start with a primitive. So we want some primitive NURBS geometry, and we can convert these primitives straight to NURBS. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and select a torus. I'm going to drop it in kind of at the center point here. And we'll give it a few values for the radius. All right, and we can go ahead and modify any of those values that we want over here in the modification panel. Let me go ahead and just pull this out. Maybe something right here. And so let's now modify some of these values. So maybe make it a little bit bigger. Make that inner radius. We want the inner radius to be a little bit smaller. So in this case, we'll take our second radius up. Okay, so we get something like that. It's probably pretty good. You can scale that as well. Okay, we can set the number of segments to be all the way around, and if I go ahead and just turn on our edged faces, we can see that. That's probably plenty. I'm going to actually set that down to maybe 18 or so. Okay, and then the number of sides. I'm going to go ahead and, looking at this, I want to create some sharpness here, so I'm going to set this to 8, and then we'll go ahead and add that in. So once we've got that completed, we can just right-click on this, say Convert to NURBS. That'll give us a nice piece of NURBS geometry. All right, we can take our surface approximation to high. All right, and now we can come in and start to modify this if we want to. So what I want to do is add some sharp lines and kind of square off this wheel just a little bit. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and go to Insert, and we want to insert column. So I'm going to go ahead and insert column here on this side, and then one right over here on this side. It kind of sharpens that up a little bit. I now want to select a column, so I'll select this one, and I'm just going to scale it down. So I've just simply said select column of CVs, and let's go ahead and scale that down a little bit. All right, now in the center here, I want to kind of bring this out a little. So I'm going to select the center column and just scale this out. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and select all of these, scale those out a little bit as well, and let's scale them out in the Y direction. And we grab something that we didn't want. So I'm going to go ahead and just select those two. Okay, just give us a little bit more of a sharp edge in the center there. Now if we want to bulge this area out, we can go ahead and insert another column right here and here, and then turn off that insert, go back and select both of those. And now let's just scale those out a little bit, give us a little bit of a kind of a bulge there. Okay, now for the center of the wheel, we go ahead and undo that. For the center of the wheel, what I want to do is create something from a cylinder. So for this, let's go ahead and again use a primitive. This time we'll use a cylinder. Kind of bring that in right in the middle. Okay, give it a little bit of height. Let's go ahead and bring this into position here, just along the Y direction. And now let's start to modify this cylinder. So what I want to do is, under Modify, we can take our cap segments. I want to make sure that they're all the way down. Okay, so we only have one n-gon here on the cap of that. And you just want to make sure that the size is basically the center, taking up the center of our object here. And so now we can convert this to NURBS. Okay, so we'll go ahead and convert it to NURBS. Brings up our NURBS creation toolbox. I'm going to move this off to the side for now. Okay, if I select surface, I'm going to select that cap surface, go ahead and delete that. Let me turn off edged faces for now. All right, and I can go ahead and delete that cap on the other side as well. And now what we want to do is actually turn this inside out. So basically we want the inside to be our outside. So I'm going to go ahead and just move this around, scale it in a little bit until we can see the inside here. And we can do this from the side view as well, from our side view, which would be our front. We go ahead and just move this down. And so I just want to move it right in the middle of the wheel. Something like that. All right. Okay, so now what we can do is take this surface, and I want to flip those normals back around. Okay, and I also want to take this column of CVs right on the outside, and I want to scale it out. So something more like that. Okay, and if we want a little bit more sharpness in here, we can come in and insert some columns right in there. Okay, we can come in and insert some more columns here. Go ahead and turn that off. We can now select this outer column again. And if we want to push that back, we can get something like that. Let's get a nice piece of geometry in there. And we can, if we want to go ahead, we can mirror that over to the other side. But let's go ahead and first bring back that cap. So for this, I want to select the surface here. You got to select the right one. We've got that one. So now I'm going to select it, create a surface from edge, and I'll select that edge. That'll give us a curve to work with. You can now take this curve and again cap that. Let's flip the normals. Okay, and let's flip those normals, and then we'll take that surface. Let's make it independent, and now let's move it forward to give us a little backdrop for the interior of our wheel there. Okay, and now we want to, let's say, create a bolt for our piece here. So for this, we need to create something that has a little bit more sharpness to it. So I'm going to go to the side. I'm going to go to create a spline, and let's create an N-gon. And let's drop this N-gon right in here. If we take a look at this, you can see that we've got 6 sides here. I also want to add a little bit of a corner radius, something very small, just to round those corners off. It'll also give us the advantage of making this one curve. Alright, so go ahead and create that, and then select the N-gon and convert that to NURBS. And let's drag this out in front of our wheel here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create a surface from this. So open the NURBS creation toolbox, and let's do an extrude surface. It's going to extrude that back, so I'll just click on this curve and just pull that back, and you can change the amount here under the extrude. Okay, you can also turn that cap on, and you can see the normals are reversed. So I can go ahead and take that surface, this surface here, and flip those normals around. And then we've got kind of a nice bolt that we can add to our wheel. So go ahead and drop that on. And let's make sure it's kind of in the center of our wheel as best as possible. We can also take this and duplicate it. Okay, I'll make a copy of this, and I'm going to right click on the rotate, and I'm going to go ahead and rotate this back to 0, and we can use this for the main bolt holding on our truck as well. Okay, just kind of drop this in. You can make it a little bit bigger. You could add a bolt to the nut that's sticking out here if you want it to. It's up to you. Alright, so let's go ahead now, and we want to add one more thing. Let me go ahead and just grab the wheel, and we want to go ahead and duplicate all of this down, and we're running out of time, so let's go ahead and finish up in one more lesson. We'll create an axle, and we'll just take a little bit of extra time and duplicate this to the other side. So let's go ahead and finish up our skateboard in one more lesson. We'll see you next.